Ryan looks unusually happy. I'm supposed to be the youthfully enthusiastic member of the team. Ryan. I'm pretty sure it's in my contract.
You are. I'm sure of that.
Don't worry. I'm sure this won't last. This is Ryan we're talking about.
What's that supposed to mean?
While it would be nice to see you happy all the time, you're too much of a pessimist for that.
I prefer the term skeptic.
It always surprises me how well everyone gets along. I'm glad Ryan wasn't hurt by what Penelope said.
You look like you're almost excited about this mission.
Yeah. Like you said. You're the skeptic.
While it's true that I've been very skeptical concerning the nature of unformatted matter in the past. Present company excluded. Even I have to admit the opportunity that this mission provides. This could change the world.
I have to hear this. Your favorite subject is money, not employee development.
Poor, misguided Nick. If you only knew.
There is a moment of silence.
You care about employee development. I'm pleasantly surprised. You do care about total strangers.
I'll say.
Oh. I totally don't care about strangers. The fact is that employee development is strongly associated with money.
Oh, come on, Ryan. You have to care about everybody. A little bit.
Yes. A very little bit. I care because most everyone is somehow responsible for providing the goods or services I use.
I get the feeling that we're not going to change Ryan's mind about the need to care for strangers.
See, Nick. You do know me well.
I enjoy how everyone plays around.
So what's the link between employee development and money?
Moving up the work ladder is the best way to get more money. We even use the phrase climbing the corporate ladder.
Suddenly there is a crackle over the loudspeaker.
The project made sure that each of you were made aware of this mission well in advance.
That was a pleasant change from all the secrecy surrounding some of the previous missions.
Yes. Well, Ryan was beginning to ask a lot of questions. So we thought it was best to be more transparent.
So, do you feel better about our mission, Ryan?
Oh. Yeah.
I remember that Ryan was starting to get very suspicious about unformatted matter. Maybe someday I'll be as bold as Ryan when I'm trying to get my questions answered.
Moving forward. Ryan, we implemented some of your suggestions that were specific to this mission.
Ryan, Did they answer your questions to your satisfaction? Or are you satisfied? Because they're giving you what you want.
Can't two things be true at the same time?
Two things can be true at the same time. But I know they're not.
I'll admit that the opportunity of this mission outweighs any doubts I have about unformatted matter doing strange things. After all, nothing bad has ever happened to us.
And you get a little of what you want.
That does go a long way. Well, the important thing is that we're safe.
Safety first. Right, Ryan?
Absolutely.
I think all this is really funny. But I wonder what Ryan is planning.
If we could all focus on the mission for a moment. As you know, you will be leading a talk with some of the employees at All Corp regarding productivity. The objective is to maximize worker productivity and their happiness.
I don't think you can have both those things at once.
This is where Ryan will say that money is the connection between productivity and happiness.
Money is the bridge between happiness and productivity.
I called it.
That just shows how consistent I am.
If there are no more questions, prepare to enter unformatted matter in 3, 2, 1.
The room is already filled with some people who are getting settled for the meeting. None of them seem to even care that we just appeared here. I thought Ryan would have pointed that out. But he looks like he's all business. He clears his throat.
If everyone has grabbed one of the pamphlets here on the table, titled Climbing the Corporate Ladder, we'll get started.
Nick, Penelope and I each pick up a pamphlet. I start to look through the pages.
Are there any questions?
Yes. Can we pet the dog?
Okay. You can pet the dog. Are there any questions relating to the topic of the meeting? Are you sure your question is about this meeting?
I think so. I thought this meeting was going to be about maximizing my productivity and my happiness. I only had time to skim the pamphlet. But this seems to be about how to make more money at the company by doing different kinds of jobs.
That's because the incentive that makes most people productive is pay.
Most people are not motivated by money. Like you.
Oh. I'm motivated by money.
I'm sure that comment made Ryan's whole day. Maybe even his week.
I was wondering why I couldn't be paid more at my current position. Bosses make so much more money than everyone else. Couldn't pay be more equal?
It all comes down to responsibility. Workers that aren't management do the job they are hired to do. And don't worry about anything else. Managers worry about work you're doing and how that will be used to make the company money. If you're not management, then it's not necessary for you to understand how your work makes the company money.
But what I do does make the company money. So I should get most of the money.
So if what you do doesn't make the company money, should you take a pay cut? Most employees are paid for the hours they work. If what they do doesn't make the company money, they are still paid for those hours. The boss risks the most because he doesn't make money if the company doesn't make money.
I don't know if that's true.
If you don't mind, Ryan, I think I can help explain this. If your boss asks you to do something that takes a month, like moving boxes from one spot to another, and later they decide it was a mistake to have you move them, then you get paid for all your work. Right?
Well, yes.
You get paid because you did what you were told. You won't lose your job because you weren't the one responsible for deciding to move the boxes. Your boss, on the other hand, is probably a salaried worker. So he gets paid the same amount of money if he works 1 hour or 1,000 hours. The company will try to get as many hours out of him as they can, because they pay him the same, no matter what.
Why would anyone agree to that?
The guaranteed annual pay, plus the end-of-year bonus. In the case of our example, the boss would be expected to work extra hours to fix his mistake, without any additional pay. If the mistake is big enough, it might also affect his end-of-year bonus.
So that's the kind of responsibility you mean. Interesting.
Well, Ryan, I'll hand the meeting back to you.
Thank you for your help, Penelope. So in short, bosses get paid based on growing the bottom line of the company, while employees get paid for finishing tasks. The important thing is that being the boss isn't always rosy. It's a trade-off.
I can kind of see why the boss is paid more than me.
So bosses are paid more because they're responsible for more.
Well, it's more like jobs pay more because there are fewer people available to do the job responsibly compared to other jobs. That may be because something like training is needed, and no one wants to do the training. Usually people choose to do the easiest job they can, because most people want to do those jobs. They don't pay much. In theory, a job can pay so little that only one person will apply for it.
But that would never happen because of minimum wage laws. Minimum wage also helps people make a living wage. Right?
Here it comes. Ryan hates minimum wage.
I wonder how much extra time this will take.
Raising minimum wage forces companies to raise their prices. To pay the workers new salaries. Or fire workers to save money. Then the company must pay their non-minimum wage employees more money. To stop them from going to minimum wage jobs. This again causes the company to raise prices or fire workers. Eventually, the prices of things will increase to match the higher minimum wage, so that the new amount of money you make will only buy things you used to afford before the minimum wage increase. Your buying power didn't increase.
Why have minimum wage then?
Because it raises everyone's tax bracket. You get paid more, so the government gets more taxes. In both dollar amount and percent.
So how do I increase my buying power?
By making more money than everyone else. And it doesn't have to be a lot more money.
And I can do that by taking on a job that has more responsibility.
Yes.
How does that work?
Depending on a company's structure. You can volunteer to work with a group to learn new skills. For example, if you don't work in Allcorp's sales department, then ask if you can join them. At least part-time. So you can learn the ropes.
I don't know if I'm comfortable doing that kind of work.
If getting more pay were comfortable, everyone would do it.
Ryan.
It's true. Ask Nick.
Nick. Tell Ryan that he's wrong.
Ryan, you're wrong. But for the right reason.
Go on.
Ryan whispers to me.
I wonder what positive spin Nick will put on this.
Ryan is correct in suggesting that you should look for opportunities around the workplace that might pay higher. These other positions will probably also require you to be more responsible. But you shouldn't take a job you don't want just because of the money. You can try many different positions until you find one that fits your personality.
Looking for a higher paying position that I also enjoy. Seems like it could be a waste of time if nothing works out.
Even if you find that you don't like doing a job, you will get a better understanding of the company.
I can kind of see that.
Ryan, did you want to add anything to that?
Thank you, Nick. What we mean by taking a job that has more responsibility is that the company tells you less of what to do. And it's more like they tell you what the goal is. You then determine what to do.
Doesn't that make us like the boss?
Yes, it does, and that's why you should be paid more like the boss. Taking on more responsibilities means that you're taking on more risk.
How is that?
Let's take the example Penelope used earlier. Let's say your boss tells you to move products from one building to another. And it takes a week. Then it turns out it was a mistake. And the products need to be moved back. The boss might get in trouble. But you won't. Remember.
I recall that.
Taking on more responsibilities also means that you need less supervision. Which means that other workers are free to do other jobs.
I can see that.
Let's say that you're not interested in money. Is there any reason to take a higher paying position?
Oh, sure. A company might offer health insurance, life insurance, retirement plans, or other things not available to every employee. The monetary value of those things can be substantial. I know our good friend Nick can tell us why we would take a higher paying position with more responsibility. If we weren't interested in the money.
I'll try to live up to that introduction. Some people take a great deal of satisfaction from their job. And they get personal fulfillment from what they do. Bosses are usually driven to work hard and take on a lot of responsibility because it satisfies an internal drive.
That doesn't really sound like me.
That certainly explains why bosses are so unique.
What does that say about my job security?
It's important to understand that your value doesn't come from what you do. It comes from you being a person. Your job is what you do, and not who you are. Someone else can replace your job, but you still have value as a person.
Yes, but then I'm a person without a job.
Even that can be an advantage.
I don't see how.
You can only move from your old position to a new position. If someone else can take your old job, that's why you can retire. Being replaceable means that you have the freedom to move.
It seems like you're just putting a silver lining on getting fired.
Nick, if I could interrupt. I think I can help explain your point.
Stay positive.
Sure. You know me. Mr. Positive. Most people are bothered by the idea that they are replaceable. Just like a cog in the machine. Is that it?
Well, yes. I'd like to think that the company cares. And that what I do for them is appreciated.
So you view your job as a relationship.
Kind of.
Have you ever called up an old boss to see how the company is doing without you?
No.
This is because you're not in a relationship with your company. It's the reason you're allowed to quit. And why they are allowed to fire you. If your company is a machine, then you're a removable part. You can move up the corporate ladder or leave the company without the burden of wondering if the company will make it without you. All because you're replaceable.
When you put it that way, I would be okay getting fired.
Well, Nick, did I explain things positive enough?
Yes, you did. With that, I'll let you continue.
With all that out of the way, I'd like to talk about setting career goals. In order to climb the corporate ladder,
Everyone in the room focuses on Ryan. And after a moment he continues.
Before you start, can you tell me why I want to set career goals?
because this is a personal growth question. I would like to defer that answer to Nick.
Actually, I think Penelope would answer the question best.
Thank you, Nick. That's sweet. You can have several reasons to set career goals. Mostly because it helps you measure progress. If you don't measure your progress, you have no idea how close you are to finishing. Or if you're even going in the right direction. By measuring your progress, you can celebrate your achievements along the way. And that is a good way to stay motivated. Over time, the progress can give your personal life and work life direction.
That's what I feel I need more of, direction.
On that note, Ryan, please continue.
Thank you, Penelope. Determining your direction is the same as setting a goal. The most important part of goal setting is to manage your expectations. If it takes too long to see results, then you'll get discouraged. So try to break your long-term goals into several short-term goals. This will also help to manage and assess any resources you need to meet your goals.
How are we supposed to know what resources we need in order to meet our goals? If we're just starting out,
That's where talking to someone about your goals usually helps. That's because it gets ideas out in the open and invites feedback.
this is starting to get really involved.
That's why it's important to be flexible. Your goals may need to change as time goes on.
You shouldn't steal too much of Nick's thunder, Ryan.
You're absolutely right. Would you please cover this question?
I'll try to live up to that introduction. Identifying and managing resources needed to meet your goals can be a challenge. In general, when you're meeting your goals, career or otherwise. You first need to ask yourself where you are and where you want to go. What job are you doing now? What do you do well at that job? What do you do not so well? Can you improve what you don't do well? With those answers, you're better able to ask where you want to be in a year. For example, you can also take those answers to your boss and see where they could place you in a year.
That advice makes things seem much more manageable. Thank you.
Those were some wonderful suggestions. They were so insightful.
Why'd I detect sarcasm in Ryan's tone?
Because most of these ideas are covered in your pamphlet.
Now that you mention it, I do seem to recall writing something like that.
I was going to cite my source.
I like Nick's reason for climbing the corporate ladder. I'll look for more personal fulfillment in my work. Maybe I should find more happiness in knowing that as we expand, Allcorp's reach into new markets, we make the world a better place.
I don't know if I would.
I can see your point. An ever-expanding corporation presents ever-expanding opportunities.
I don't think Nick means.
That's a great slogan. I'm going to recommend you for a promotion. You're the kind of leadership we need.
Ryan, I'm concerned about their enthusiasm.
I don't know what you mean. They're finally eager to move up in the workplace.
Ryan.
Okay. Now listen, you two. It's important to realize that your value doesn't come from what you do. So don't make being an Allcorp employee the most important part of your life.
Yeah, I know.
It's just fun to look forward to work.
I know what you mean.
Don't worry. We'll pace ourselves.
How about you tell us what you got out of the meeting? Just so we know we're communicating the right ideas.
Yes. That way you go off doing the right thing. With the right motivation.
This is sure to show how good an instructor I am.
Let me see. If you want to move up the corporate ladder, then be ready to do work no one wants to do.
That is often true.
This usually involves taking on more responsibility and can involve learning new skills.
You're getting it.
Oh. A position with higher pay gives you more actual pay. Because only you get the pay increase. Unlike minimum wage increases, where everyone gets more money.
I have to say it. I'm proud of you.
Also, it's important to set career goals, so you know where you're going and how to get there. Maybe we could make an employee boot camp to streamline all of this.
Yes, then we would have an army of well-trained workers, ready to go out into the world.
Well, language like that isn't alarming at all.
I'm in complete agreement. Nick, I think we should go now.
I think Nick and Penelope's reaction is kind of funny. I can tell Ryan thinks so too.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. I hope I see you two again.
I'm sure we'll run into you.
With that, we watch as everyone leaves the room.
Well, Nick, I think we're ready to go.
With pleasure. Get ready to head home in 3, 2, 1.
Ryan, aren't you concerned that you'll see those two again? Even a little.
No, why? This mission was a total success. I hope every mission is like this one. Isn't that right, Charlie?
I'm not sure we're ever going to see Ryan any happier.
On another subject. Nick, why did you think it was better for Penelope to answer the question about the importance of setting career goals?
Penelope has told me on more than one occasion that it would be a struggle to manage work and a family. But she'd be ready for that challenge.
I do like dreaming about the future.
Me too.
There is that sinister grin of Ryan's.
Is that so? I think on that note, we should call it a day. So you two can work on that.
Ryan.
You're very welcome.